So a couple days before Christmas, my buddy Robert rings me up through Instant Messenger, and he's like, hey, we got to get a game in before Christmas. Sure. So we settle on 450 points, no lance or pilot abilities, and we're doing Alpha Strike. So, Matt, very simple rules for the match. Basically, you're walking in on the table edge, you're deploying by lances, you're moving by lances, and then, of course, there's no modification to firing or anything like that, because there's no need to, because in Alpha Strike, everything fires, at the same time. So with no SPAs and no lance abilities, it really came down to what choices we took. We're playing in the Lost Tech era, so 30-25, and so our choices reflect that. Even though I'm got primitive archers on the field, they're basically rolling as your standard archers. In the center of the table, we've got a little bit of a ruined city. Those are the mat board buildings sold by Iliada Games. They have their storefront on Facebook. I'll put a link in the description below. I actually got those from Aries Games and Miniatures. He had a clearance sale on those not too long ago, and I snagged a bunch of those up. But they hold together really well, and I put together all those about an hour before we played with just regular old tacky glue. So it was pretty easy. The giant shield generator and turbo laser battery that's on the far corner of the map. Those are from the Battle Kiwi Sanctuary Moon Kickstarter. Since I paid a premium price for those to get them shipped from New Zealand, I'm going to try to use them in everything. It works well enough as like an orbital defense battery and an HPG grid, and that's kind of what we're fluffing it. The resin buildings are from Old Crow Miniatures. They're no longer a business. I don't know if he is still taking orders through email or not. I haven't checked up on that, so in case you're wondering about that. And then the mat is actually from FrontLine Gaming. That is their desert base or their mud base or something like that. So in case you're wondering where that mat's from. So that's the battlefield. Oh, and then there's a little Taco Bell up in the upper left-hand corner from Gamecraft Mini that I painted, 6mm Taco Bell. But here we go, opening moves. We kind of really ignore the right side of the table, the far southern end of the board, where the second camera is set up, and this is actually the view you're seeing right now. We start moving in towards the center and that other end of the table. You can kind of see where it's just going to come down to a slugging match and see how long you can hang out in the center before you basically buckle. And yes, that is an urban mech. Moving forward, surging. I don't know why I took it. I know why I took it. I had no other 35-25 mechs painted. And it won by default. Most of my stuff is either Clan era or, 31-45 Dark Age, Republic of the Sphere era stuff. But most of the shots that we get early on, just at long range, you're like, scratch the paint, that type of thing. My longbow connects for 3 damage at long range. But that's really anything of note. Most of my mechs miss the first 2 turns of firing. And when you're closing that gap, and as soon as you get into the like, I'm going to call it mid-game, and that's as soon as you hit middle range, medium range. If you can't make those shots at medium range, and your opponent is consistently making those shots, even with high modifiers or tricksy maneuvers, you're not going to win. Like, you have to go blow for blow in Alpha Strike. You really can't have a really bad turn. As soon as you have a really bad turn and they have a really good turn, that's pretty much it. There's other games where, that's true too. But I really feel like in Alpha Strike, there isn't really a bounce back to that. You've already lost. It's like, at that point, it's like, how bad have you lost? So I start missing with all my shots. And I've decided that I'm just going to try to focus on getting pieces off the board, which is the mission objective. But I'm also trying to tie up those elements in the center to knock them back into force withdrawal. Not destroy, just knock them into force withdrawal. And then that way, it'll kind of lessen the blow. One of the first casualties that I take is my Wasp. It gets obliterated. And it won't be the last. It's a shame it wasn't the Urban Mech right away. Boy, that 4-inch move is just terrible. It is a terrible mech. But I promised I would use it in an upcoming battle report, and I'm keeping that promise. Remember that, guys. I keep my promises. I may be late to deliver, but I keep my promises. I do manage to put down the dragon, which was awesome. I needed to put that sucker down. I need to actually put a lot more down. But I keep concentrating fire on single targets. Spreading around the damage in Alpha Strike is foolhardy. Concentrate on something until it's dead. Dead, dead, dead. But right now it's looking pretty good. You know, I've only lost a Wasp and he's lost a Dragon. It's not bad. It's about to take a turn. More shots connect for him, less shots connect for me. My Vulcan gets hit enough that he's lost half of his structure, so that means he's now in force withdrawal. So that's great. I've got mechs already running off the board, and my armor is being shredded on my heavier assets, like my Black Knight, my Rifleman's taking some damage, and even some of the archers have lost a couple pieces of paint. And as the Oracle foretold many moons ago, the center of the board becomes a spicy meatball. His forces continue to fold into the middle, whereas my heavier lance, now Vulcanless, because he's in force withdrawal, doesn't have enough cover being provided, doesn't have enough support. The longbow and the archer that are hanging back, they aren't able enough to give enough firepower to connect, or they're not able to get enough firepower to connect to actually make a difference. The Urban Mech, I mean, it's a joke. It hasn't hit all game. And even if it did, it does 2 damage at medium range and 1 at short. No, I've got a flip-flop. 1 at medium range, 2 at short. It's just not going to make the impact. His Wolverine grabs cover, and I start moving my Scout and Phoenix Hawk at the top of the board, hanging out. The longbow and the archer decided it's time to make a move and venture forward to help, you know, give cover and support. It's going to be a little too late. And one of Robert's lighter assets, the Mongoose, who's been creeping up that top side of the board, is going to now speed his way over and get right behind that Vulcan. No prisoners, no escape, no quarter. Ruthless. I like it. He falls back with the majority of his forces on that top side of the board to prevent the Scout and the Phoenix Hawk an easy escape off the table edge. So now the Scout and the Phoenix Hawk are committed out in the open, that they've got to make that run. Spoiler, only one will make it. Can you guess who? The archers over on that same side of the board have split up to provide firing lines and denial movement for his forces. It does a really bad job. I goofed really badly. I wasn't paying attention close enough to how the terrain was managed and his different movement options. Again, I gotta own it. And he starts laying down the hate once again, peeling paint and armor off the mechs, stripping them, and I can't make any hits. So here's a better vantage point, and you can kind of see the chaos going on. Yeah, so the Vulcan's already down. The archers here in the lower center, they're back to back. I mean, they're going ass to ass to help, you know, cover any type of possible movements. However, they're so blocked behind that silo, they really can't shoot anything, and that was my mistake. So now I've got a Mongoose in the backfield, basically. I'm relying on my nuclear deterrent, the Irby, to hold that far right flank. And then the longbow and the archer in the center. Also to, you know, kind of stop anything. It's not working out really well. He's hopping his mechs inside the terrain to get the cover bonus. He's just able to take more advantage of that cover and get higher mods. Plus, me not being able to roll anything above a 5. That played a role too. So, if you're wondering where his mechs went over by the HPG, they went on the far corner of the board to stop the Scout and the Phoenix Hawk. But the Phoenix Hawk would eventually be focus fired, murdered, and melted down for scrap, while the Scout will be able to get off the board this next turn. So score points there, right? So we continue with turn 5 here. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but I've cut a lot out in the interest of time, because there are a lot of, you know, a lot of stuff that's not really worth watching. But it's getting close to the point that I know how this is going to finish. And I'm sure you guys do too. So I really start to begin to call it. I can't kill enough. I can't do enough damage. I'm not hitting anything. And by the end of it, over half my board is going to be wiped. Just because he's nickel and dime me the entire game. And now it's starting to pay dividends. So that's where we decided to call it. Or rather, I conceded. There was just no way I could make it up. The difference was too far gone. Time to pack it up. I love playing Robert. He's a great guy. A lot of fun to play with. And I've been playing with the idea of uploading just the unedited battle reports with the dialogue and the kibitzing and everything out there. So for like extended long play. So no matter how long the game lasts, that's what would be up there. In addition to the edited ones. If that's something you think you guys would want to watch, let me know. And I got more content on the way. I'm back for the new year, rested and ready to go.